What's up, everybody? This week, we have the final of the big three at the tight end position. It is Pat Freiermuth, a guy we should have been talking about a while ago, but one prospect a week, we can only do so many, right? So Pat Freiermuth, he was my tight end one actually coming into the season. Kyle Pitts obviously blew everyone away. Pat Freiermuth had a shoulder injury after 4 games, missed the rest of a very weird, shortened Big Ten season. But despite that, in those 4 games, he put up 23 catches for 310 yards and a touchdown and still won the 2020 Big Ten Tight End of the Year award. So he must be good, right? Yeah. Pat Freiermuth, 6'5", 251. They call him Baby Gronk. He is your prototypical NFL all-around tight end. This guy, he can block, he can catch, he can do anything he wants, anything you want. He is a great tight end for the NFL. Maybe not as great for your fantasy football team as Brevin Jordan and Kyle Pitts, but NFL teams are going to be happy to have this guy. He is landing spot proof. He fits any offense because he is that traditional tight end. So let's dive into the tape and see what he brings to your Dynasty fantasy football team. So I talked about the statistics before. He ended his career at Penn State with the most touchdowns by any tight end, passing Mike Gesicki. He had some school records despite only playing for 2.5 years. So highly productive in his time, especially without a super great quarterback. I wouldn't call Trace McSorley or Sean Clifford great quarterbacks at all. And I know most Penn State fans will probably agree with me. So as I said, he is a great NFL prospect. His blocking is impressive. His athleticism is great. His hands are strong and consistent, and he's quicker than you would think. Maybe not the best at all those things, but all around, he does everything well. And teams are going to like that. He's going to get good draft capital. I see him going in the second round. So I think he's going to have great draft capital and get plenty of opportunity from day one. Now, they call him Baby Gronk because he can do all these things. You know, I don't like to compare anyone to maybe the greatest tight end of all time, especially in the modern NFL. But he has the same size. He's the same play style. We've seen this work. That physicality and size with some athleticism, it's nearly impossible to stop. You're too big for safeties and you're too fast for linebackers. So we already know this guy's a mismatch. I mean, you got Kyle Pitts, who's a mismatch. You got this guy who's a mismatch. They do their mismatch in different ways. Kyle Pitts is pure speed, and he's strong. But this Pat Freiermuth, he's super strong compared to Kyle Pitts, I'll say. Just saying, he's probably stronger. But he also has the speed. He's that mismatch. He's the guy who can box you out and win constantly over the middle of the field. And we know that he played basketball in high school, and it's obvious because of those box outs. He's like a forward out there, ready for the rebound. He is always able to get between the ball and his defender and make those catches easier for him. You know, he's going to get that first down. He's going to get those 10 yards you need because he's boxing out the defender. The defender cannot get around him, and he's securing that catch. Now, this one, just showing his physicality. I'm going to bring up this tape. This is against Memphis in the bowl game last year. Watch him lower his shoulder. He doesn't actually finish with a touchdown, but the physicality, this is something you don't see from tight ends every day.
First down, 16-yard gain on the play. Throws it on the RPO to Freiermuth. Put his feet down. Oh! Freiermuth ruled out of bounds, shy of the end zone. One more look.
Wow. Exact same play. Now they throw it to Freiermuth, and ooh.
Get off me.
Ooh. That looked like Gronkowski right there. I mean, you watch him lower his shoulder. That looks good right there. All right. As I mentioned before, run blocking. Best run blocking tight end of the top three. And this is the first play. First play for the offense, the Penn State offense in this game. And just watch him just block his man right out of the play.
And fourth rows. Devin Ford. Ford gets it over the right side.
Yeah, maybe not right out of the play, but good run blocker. He has run blocking all over his film, and it's going to be a big part of his game. And it's important for fantasy football because it gets you on the field. When Pat Freiermuth goes on the field, the other team cannot look at him being out there and be like, oh, it's going to be a pass play. It's 75% chance it's going to be a pass play. He's not doubling as that slot receiver every single time. He's not like the third, fourth wide receiver on the field. He is a true tight end. And, him being out there does not tip your hand as an offense at all if you're going to pass the ball or run the ball, because you can do both with Pat Freiermuth out there. And then he's not the greatest athlete in the world, especially when we compare him to Kyle Pitts and Brevin Jordan. But he does have plenty of athleticism to make it at the next level. He runs just as fast as Gronkowski. Yeah, he didn't run at the pro day for Penn State. He said he would run later this offseason for scouts, so sometime in April. But he's been clocked before about a 4.7. Gronkowski ran a 4.68. It's not Kyle Pitts with his 4.46 or whatever he's run, but there's plenty of speed at 4.7, especially for a big guy like him. So this is him running down a seam route. He's going to be in the slot at the top of the screen. He gets down the field in plenty of time and makes the catch.
The shot to the head that he took, the one that resulted in targeting, and he has not been in the game. McSorley fires down the seam, and the catch is made by the tight end.
And we love to see him finish that catch through contact. He's a grinder, man. He's a grinder. He's that prototypical NFL tight end that we've seen for years do well at the NFL level. Yes, he might not be the top of the top, especially for fantasy football, but he looks like he should have a long career. I mean, Travis Kelce is not the most athletically gifted player in the world. He's a guy that goes out there and can block as well. And we've seen Travis Kelce dominate for years now. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes helps, but, just because he's not as athletic or physically gifted as Kyle Pitts does not mean he cannot be a top fantasy football tight end. We'll see if we get there. It's going to depend on the landing spot. And speaking of landing spots, I have fallen in love with the idea of Pat Freiermuth to the Indianapolis Colts. Number one, the tight end depth chart there is just not great. You got Jack Doyle, who's on the wrong side of 30 and a cut candidate. You got Trey Burton, who's a free agent now. And you got Mo Alley-Cox, who has shown some, exciting things. He's a big guy, but he's on a one-year deal. He's a restricted free agent this year, and he'll probably be leaving next year. He's also used a lot on blocking plays as well. And hey, Mo Alley-Cox and Pat Freiermuth could be a great duo because they can both block and they both can catch. But Pat Freiermuth, he would be great catching passes from Carson Wentz. Now that Carson Wentz is there, we saw how well Wentz, played with good tight ends. He loves to throw to the tight ends. We saw it with Zach Ertz. We saw it with Dallas Goedert. There's a connection there with Carson Wentz. Pat Freiermuth can step right into the tight end one position for the Indianapolis Colts. He can see snaps day one on week one and just start producing. I mean, he might not have, a top 5 tight end season rookie year, but which not many rookies do. We might have that expectation for Kyle Pitts, but we should not have that expectation for other tight ends. But stepping into the Colts, he can easily put up, pretty solid numbers, be a low tight end one rookie year. I would love that landing spot. And another landing spot I like a lot is actually the New York Jets. Robert Saleh coming over from the 49ers. We know the tight end situation over there. It works really well for that team. I think Robert Saleh is going to try to bring some of that physicality to the Jets football team. Pat Freiermuth fits that better than the other tight ends at the first, second round of the draft. And sitting at the top of the second round, Pat Freiermuth will be there for the Jets if they want him. And, they have Chris Herndon, but he hasn't shown really anything since his rookie year, and he's on the last year of his rookie contract. Pat Freiermuth could once again step into that role. He's such a pro-ready prospect. He's out there ready to go. He can step into that role day one and catch passes from whatever quarterback's throwing passes for the Jets. And once again, help stabilize their offensive line and help that run game that I know that Robert Saleh is going to want to really work on. So I think he's pretty landing spot proof, but 2 places I like a lot are the Jets and the Colts. Like I said, he's going in the second round most likely. I think him and Brevin Jordan go around the same spot. Maybe Pat Freiermuth goes a little bit earlier, but I don't think any of them sneak into round one, neither one of the two. But I don't see them falling out of round 2. Tight ends are just too important now. If you can get a mismatch, and you can really dominate with your offense. So they're going to be looking at that for baby Gronk, Pat Freiermuth. And, I like it. I'm waiting to see what he runs. If he runs later this month, I'm going to expect a 4.7, like I said, which is great. That's fine. I'm okay with that. But I'm hoping to see some good agility, because the one weakness in his game is, he doesn't have elite athleticism. He is a good athlete, that's for sure. He's not a bad athlete. but he's not going to give you a ton of the catch. He's not going to make people miss in the open field. That lateral ability just isn't there like we see with Brevin Jordan or Kyle Pitts or, wide receivers with, who are smaller guys. So if Pat Freiermuth can run a nice 3-cone, nice short shuttle, I'll be happy with that. He can train for that. He's been working on that. He's been out since, after the 4th game of the season. So he's been training for the NFL draft. He's going to put some good numbers up, I bet. And the bench press will probably be really impressive. So that's all for this week's prospect. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at Nate NFL. I just started a series called 30 Days, 30 Prospects leading up to the NFL draft. I'm posting a Twitter thread for each of my top 30 prospects, one a day leading up to the draft, finishing with my number 1 on draft day. Also follow our Dynasty Owner on Twitter at Dynasty_owner. We'll be bringing you plenty of top-notch content throughout the offseason because Dynasty Fantasy Football never stops. Until next time.